Mike, this is what Mike Tyson, when Mike Tyson shows up, everybody makes money, Jake Paul is, I don't have to tell you guys, you guys know, Mike Tyson is the A+++ side of that thing.
Dana White has just canceled Jake Paul faster than one of Jake's cringy YouTube pranks, and it's all because of that ridiculously scripted fight with Mike Tyson. From the very beginning, Dana was calling it like he saw it, saying there was no way a guy like Tyson would actually need to get in the ring with Jake.
And he was right.
The Jake Paul and Mike Tyson fight.
Interesting.
Script. How so? What do you mean by
It's just
script?
weird. It just...
Let's be real. Tyson doesn't need the paycheck, the drama, or the dental work from fighting someone who probably goggles how to be a boxer before every match. But nope, Jake insisted, and now the truth is out.
Jake needs these guys. Jake needs Tyson and needs all these other people because everybody's going to tune in to hope that Mike Tyson knocks him out.
Right.
They're not tuning in because they think Jake Paul's a great fighter and they want to see him compete.
Dana just dropped some major tea about what went down behind the scenes, and surprise, surprise, turns out the whole thing was more staged than Jake's TikTok apology videos. But before we get into the juicy details of Jake's antics, let's rewind to what Dana had to say about this nonsense from the start.
Mike Tyson, Jake Paul was scripted. That was a scripted fight. It was blatantly obvious. Go watch Mike train. And John Jones is an absolute problem. Problem. The scariest man on the planet.
You honestly think this kid's going to do anything to me? He's not good. He's not going to me out. He's not going to do this. And you saw him. He tripped when he was walking down the thing. He had a hard time walking up the stairs. He had a knee brace on. And Jake Paul couldn't do anything to him.
Jake Paul versus Mike Tyson. Sounds like the opening act to a carnival, right? That's exactly how Dana White saw it. The UFC president wasn't just unimpressed. He was downright insulted. In typical Dana fashion, he went scorched earth, labeling the entire spectacle as a complete farce. And honestly, can you blame him? When a 57-year-old legend with creaky knees and a knee brace still manages to outclass a self-proclaimed future of boxing, there's not much to applaud.
But he's not going to knock me out. He's not going to do this. And you saw him. He tripped when he was walking down the thing. He had a hard time walking up the stairs. He had a knee brace on. And Jake Paul couldn't do anything to him. He made a ton of money. And I know people are mad. You stayed home on a Saturday night, but you didn't pay for it. You know what I mean? And, Mike, this is what Mike Tyson, when Mike Tyson shows up, everybody makes money. Jake Paul is, I don't have to tell you guys, you guys know, Mike Tyson is the A+++ side of that thing. And he was right. Jake Paul couldn't do shit to him.
White's disdain wasn't subtle. He didn't just question Jake Paul's abilities, he canceled them. The so-called fight wasn't a display of skill. It was a cringe-worthy reminder that Jake's boxing career is a product of gimmicks, not grit. And Dana, never one to mince words, made it clear that boxing deserved better than this overhyped train wreck. Jake Paul isn't exactly known for taking the hard road. His strategy has always been to cherry-pick opponents who generate headlines rather than provide real competition. Dana White has been one of the loudest critics of Jake's tactics, but this time he wasn't holding anything back. To him, Jake isn't a boxer, he's a marketer. A good one, sure, but that doesn't make him a fighter.
So you're saying that it was scripted because Tyson trained really hard, but then was like throwing the fight in the ring?
The way Tyson trained, the way he looked, the way he moved.
Training it and fighting, though. Training it and fighting. I can get on board. I don't want to use the term scripted. Here's what my takeaway was after watching the fight. And it reminded me a little bit of Mayweather-Pacquiao from a few years ago when we didn't get them in there.
The Mike Tyson match was the peak of Jake's absurdity. Dana slammed the fight as proof that Jake prioritizes entertainment over authenticity. Why go up against someone your age and in your weight class when you can call out a 57-year-old icon? And let's not forget Tyson wasn't exactly in peak condition. Despite his age and physical limitations, Tyson still managed to expose Jake's lack of real skill. That's not a win for Jake. It's an embarrassment.
Jake Paul saying he was banned from all UFC events and then put the costume on?
Yeah, nobody's banned from the UFC. Listen, that kid knows how to market and do his thing and, all that good shit. But, yeah, no, Jake Paul's welcome to come to UFC.
Yeah, no, he's just saying that to make it seem like I wasn't banned, but definitely has sent an email to me saying I'm trespassed from all UFC events and I'm not welcome back, etc. Of course, Dana doing what he does best, which is lie.
Mike Tyson might not be the same ferocious knockout artist he was in the 80s, but even at 57, he's no slouch. The man's technique, even with limited mobility, was miles ahead of Jake's. Watching Tyson dominate key moments of the fight was a reminder that experience and skill matter far more than social media followers. Dana White didn't miss the opportunity to highlight how ridiculous this matchup was. Tyson, who probably spends more time icing his knees than training, was still able to control the fight. And Jake? He struggled to land anything meaningful. If this was supposed to cement Jake as a legitimate boxer, it did the opposite. It showcased how far he is from being a serious contender.
You see some of these crossover fights. Obviously, I know that you and Jake Paul have had your disagreements. Do you think that Jake's gotten better as a boxer?
Yeah, there's no doubt about it. And listen, what Jake Paul has accomplished is he's fighting old guys.
Yes.
He's fighting, all he fights are old guys and whatever. But listen, say what you want, he wins. And he makes money. So he's doing his thing, you know?
You just don't see it as a sustainable thing?
He fought Tommy Fury and lost. Where's that rematch? Where's that rematch?
I don't know where it's at. I know he's fighting a 57-year-old champ now. What's
58.
Your 58? Don't want to take a year away from you, Mike.
He's fighting a guy that's almost 60 years old, and you know what I mean. I mean that says it all. That says it all. There's nothing else that needs to be said. That's his shtick. That's his thing. He fights guys that are old, usually undersized guys, older, undersized guys.
If there's one thing Dana White detests, it's the degradation of combat sports. And to him, Jake Paul is the poster child for everything wrong with modern boxing. White didn't just criticize Jake's fight with Tyson. He used it as a case study in how to destroy a sport's credibility. Boxing, in Dana's view, has become a playground for influencers and entertainers, leaving actual athletes sidelined.
Tyson was right, and I was wrong. You know, when you guys know the whole story about Shark Week, and you know, if you don't, I begged him not to do the Roy Jones fight. You're too old. I love you. I don't want to see you take any more punishment. So I set him up on Shark Week. He got paid good money, and he's like, so he almost flipped out the last day and was ready to kill everybody on the boat because he had to jump in with all these sharks.
Dana compared Jake's career to a reality TV show, scripted, shallow, and focused solely on creating viral moments. It's not about skill or dedication. It's about how many people you can get to click buy on a pay-per-view. Except in this case, even the pay-per-view route wasn't an option. The fight aired on Netflix, a move Dana saw as a clear sign of failure. For a guy who prides himself on being a draw, Jake's decision to stream the fight on a platform known for binge-watching sitcoms didn't exactly scream boxing royalty.
I'm about to sneak into the Sphere. 2 years ago, I was banned from all UFC events by Dana.
Let's pause for a second and address Jake Paul's delusions of grandeur. The man has openly stated he wants to fight Canelo Alvarez, one of the best pound-for-pound boxers in the world. Dana White didn't just roll his eyes at this, he practically laughed Jake out of the room. Delusional hype is how Dana described it, and he's not wrong.
Tyson here, and him and Tyson are going to make a shitload of money.
A bunch of money.
And good for both of them.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Good for both of them. Like I say, Jake Paul can fight. It's not like Jake Paul can't fight.
Yeah.
Jake Paul just won't fight anybody.
Jake couldn't handle a 57-year-old Tyson with limited mobility, yet he's eyeing a fight with Canelo? It's like a middle schooler challenging LeBron James one-on-one. Dana was blunt. Jake needs to stop chasing fantasy fights and start focusing on opponents who are actually in his league. But then again, that wouldn't generate the kind of headlines Jake craves, would it?
Canelo can fight real guys and keep his credibility intact and still make that kind of money. You know what I mean? Jake needs these guys. Jake needs Tyson and needs all these other people because that you know, everybody.
So where does Jake go from here? Dana's verdict was clear. This fight didn't just fail to elevate Jake's career. It exposed its fragility. The hype can only carry him so far. At some point, he'll have to prove himself against real competition. And if the Tyson fight is any indication, he's not ready for that challenge. Jake Paul has built an empire on controversy and viral moments, but as Dana pointed out, that's not enough to sustain a career in boxing. The sport demands more. It demands authenticity, skill, and a willingness to take on real challenges. Until Jake embraces that, he'll remain what Dana White has always seen him as, a showman, not a fighter.
Fight real guys and keep his credibility intact and still make that kind of money. You know what I mean? Jake needs these guys. Jake needs Tyson and needs all these other people because that you know.
Jake Paul versus Mike Tyson fight will be remembered, but not for the reasons Jake hoped. It wasn't a triumph or a milestone. It was a spectacle, a messy, embarrassing spectacle that left fans disappointed and critics like Dana White outraged. Dana's scathing assessment wasn't just a critique of Jake Paul, it was a wake-up call for boxing as a whole. The sport deserves better than this. And until Jake Paul steps up and starts treating boxing with the respect it deserves, he'll remain the face of its decline. Boxing deserves better than gimmicks and cheap headlines. It's time to demand real fights, real athletes, and respect for the sport. Share your thoughts, hold influencers accountable, and support fighters who value authenticity over spectacle. Let's bring the focus back to skill, dedication, and true competition. Join the conversation and stand up for the legacy of boxing.